morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, and welcome to our Small Business Symposium. My name is Angela Sway. I am the Economic Development Manager for the City of Cupertino, and I'm really excited to see all of you here to participate in our different workshops and sessions, and really to be able to take away some resources and tools that will help you grow your business, or if you haven't yet made that leap, maybe deciding to start your own business. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Mayor, Mayor Orrin Mahoney, to say a few words and to kick off our event. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So, most people think I'm here for the event, but I'm actually really here for the pastries out there. Janice does a great job. I am happy to kick this off. A lot of people obviously associate Cupertino with our large companies, in particular one big one that's wants to establish an even bigger presence in Cupertino. But it really is the small businesses that make up not just the economic vitality, but the overall quality of life. I mean, that's really what it's all about. I mean, it's nice, to have a Big Apple campus, but people aren't spending a lot of time there. In fact, you can't even go in there. So it's the small businesses that really support what people want to do. They want to shop, they want to eat, they want to get their services done. They want to do that locally because it's easier for them and it's better for the environment because they don't have to commute and everything. So it's a very important part of the city of Cupertino. The city tries hard to support our small businesses. Sometimes we may not think that, but the council is very business friendly. And we have a new economic development manager here in Angela that we've hired with a particular focus on small business, and that's very important. And as part of that, as you see today, we partner with the Chamber of Commerce. That partnership's very important. We try to have the Chamber engaged in when we are making decisions that could potentially affect businesses, either in a positive or negative way. We always run that by the Chamber to make sure that that we get that voice in there. We did that with our plastic bag ordinance, and while we still put in that the banning of plastic bags, there were several things in there that we heard from businesses and the Chamber, or through the Chamber, that we were able to incorporate to make it less onerous on small business. So Angela is your key contact for all that, and your Chamber of Commerce is very important. So if anybody's out there that's not a Chamber member yet, I'll let Kevin recruit you later. But it really is a partnership that we continue to have and work together to make our small businesses thrive. So with that, speaking of the Chamber, I'd like to have Kevin McClellan come and kick it off.
Thank you, Orrin. Well, first off, I want to welcome everybody here today. A lot of people don't really get what the Chamber of Commerce is about, and Orrin alluded to me recruiting all of you guys. Most of you guys, or some of you guys, are already Chamber members. My passion around the Chamber is just that, where I was in a meeting a couple of weeks ago with some of our larger corporations here in town, and the dialogue kind of went like this, where I said, the big companies need us when they need us, whenever they have an issue or a problem or need an advocate. That's what the Chamber's here to be. But the small businesses, they need us every day. Being able to provide resources, being able to be a place where you can go to get answers. There's so many different things that face small businesses, and all of you guys get that. That's why you're here today, and I'm very thankful that you guys are here. But providing those answers and providing those resources is really what the Chamber wants to do. That's who we want to be. And so, these type of events and being able to partner with the city on not only events like this, but all the things that we do, we just feel so fortunate. There are a lot of larger chambers in the area, and while they have their role, the thing that I like about our chamber is that I know a lot of you guys, and you guys know me, and I know the mayor, I know Angela, I know our city manager. We all know each other, and so it's not just the fact that we're doing business here, but we actually get to stop and talk and get to hear about each other's lives and participate in this whole process and really be engaged. So I really want to welcome you guys here today. I think there's going to be a lot of good information, we really would like to get some feedback from you, because for us, this is kind of a, as Dennis King was saying, kind of a toe in the water. You know, we really want to be able to provide the resources and the information that you guys need. And so feel free to give us the feedback on what direction we need to go. We're looking to do another one of these in September, and doing several of them on an ongoing basis, and also bring more resources into the actual Chamber of Commerce to where if you wanted to stop by and get some information. So please give us that feedback and get us that information so that we can continue to really support you guys with all your great ideas and your entrepreneurship. So hope you guys have a good day, and we'll talk to you guys a little bit later in the afternoon.
All right, welcome everybody. I'll let everybody settle down and we'll get started. And I'm going to start with my presentation, and then I'm going to ask, it's a little bit off the agenda, but I'm going to ask everybody if they have a pertinent question that they want to get asked about any aspect of starting your business. I'll take it down, make a note of it, and once we do so, we can answer the question as part of the presentation, and if not, I'll tell you we'll answer them at the end. I'm going to try and leave some time at the end to answer the questions I did not get to answer. So if you have a pertinent question that you have, let me know. And to start off, let's, everybody, if you have a business, raise your hand high so I can see. Okay? Thank you. Now, if you are looking to start your business, raise your hand high. Okay, so it looks like most of you, a little bit 60-40, have already started your business, so that gives me an orientation of my audience. So now I'm going to go ahead and take questions. What questions, regardless of whether it's part of the topic of the discussion today, do you have? And I'm going to write them down and get them answered if I can, and if not now, later. Yes? Great question. So the question is, what entity formation should I be? A sole proprietor, an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp? Okay, these are a little thin, pinpoint. So what entity should he be? Any other questions? Yes, in the back. Fine. Startup capital? Yes. Okay. For startup capital, I know that they're going to have I believe, a panel later on today, but I'll give you my perspective on and tips on that as well. Any other questions, burning questions from anybody? Yes. The insurance, yes. I wonder if black will show up better. In particular, business insurance. In particular, business insurance. Any other questions? Yes.
What plan should a small business owner have before starting the business?
Great question. All right, business plans. Any others? All right. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm actually originally from Mexico. Immigrated in a young age. Got an engineering degree as a mechanical engineer from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. And as soon as I got out of college, I started buying real estate as an investment. And eventually, I got encouraged 8 years later to get a real estate license, and I did. And then I became a loan officer, and that completely changed my world from being a corporate employee to entrepreneur. And I know that I've seen, in talking to a few of you in the audience, you guys are professionals looking at being an entrepreneur. So I went through the whole process. I know what it's like. I know the fears that we have, the uncertainties that we have. And today, I'm running like 3 different businesses. One of them is a business consulting, coaching. Another one is called Simplify Home Solutions. What it does is for busy professionals like me and my wife were. Both of us were engineers that are now business owners. We provide care for everything that you need at home, whether it's handyman services, professional organization, cleaning, basics, chef, anything you need at home, one call, and we handle all those services, so you're not having to manage 10 people. And the last business that I do is actually real estate based where I started. And what we do is private individuals allow us to borrow their money to make social impact investments. And what we do is give first-time home buyers the opportunity to buy a property without having to upbid it or have to pay cash. So that's my social impact real estate investment business. So those are my 3 businesses from my perspective. All right. So as far as our agenda, we are going to talk about the importance of small business, the planning of your business, and getting started. And one thing I was speaking with Jennifer in the audience, and one of the things I learned is the most important thing as an engineer is that you know and can do the calculations and know exactly how you can get from A to Z. Well, in the business world, it doesn't really work that way. You cannot ever figure that out. So one of the things that I learned is getting started and being okay with the fears of not knowing exactly how you're going to go from A to Z is okay. And that's part of the journey. That's part of the learning process. And that's the best education, the best learning you can get versus going to workshops, seminars, reading. The best, and I encourage, is he here? Matt, to start off small and build up as well. Because you may not, your initial business that you start off with may not be the one that you end up with down the road. But what you learn at that small business is crucial to your end game. It's kind of like starting off with the lemonade stand and building up from there and starting to get to entrepreneur skills. And as an engineer, think of a mindset, very logical to now being marketing and sales oriented. It's a whole different mindset. And I still, to this day, don't have the great sales techniques. But what I do have is passionate of what I do. So that's important in any business. All right. So a little summary of the importance of small businesses, like the mayor referenced earlier today, is that 75% of new businesses, new jobs are added to the economy come from small businesses. And that represents 99.7% of the private sector employees as well. Half of all private sector employees are small business employers, and pay almost 45% of the total private payroll in the U.S. and employ 40% of the nation's high-tech workers. That's the scientists, the engineers, and computer. And these are all employers of 500 employees or less. And they comprise 97% of the U.S. exporters. They're awarded $83.3 billion in direct federal prime contracts in referencing 2007, and produce 13 times more patents per employee than the larger firms. So yes, it is crucial, it is important that small businesses are supported and grow. And now in terms of the benefits of planning, looking at the big picture. That's one of the key components of business planning. And that's not just important for you, it's important for me as a business advisor through the SBDC program, so you can communicate those ideas to me and I can better serve you and I can better help you. So making sure that you have a big picture, not exactly how you're going to get to Z, but that you have the end point and we can reverse engineer it to see how you're going to get there. That's one of the best benefits of having a business plan. And obviously, when you're having employees, to better guide them, you as the business owner, the CEO needs to provide that leadership. That's the business plan that you need to have in place, so you know how you're going to, the employees can follow your lead and help you get there. Accurate communication, increased opportunities. The better organized you are and clarity of where you want to go, when you see an opportunity, you'll be able to take advantage of it or not, based on what clear direction you're going. And continuous improvement. You also see what is not working for you and can better plan to make improvements along the way. Action and not reaction. You have to lead your company and not always be reacting, putting out fires, but actually being proactive and leading the direction you want to go. Isolating root cause problems. If you're going in a certain direction in your business plan and something is wrong, is it wrong because it's a distraction, or actually is it a root problem that you need to correct or just ignore? And when you're in business, a lot of the problems you actually just have to ignore. But if it's a root cause of your focus of the direction you need to go to, you need to take care of it. Otherwise, it's going to cost you more problems down the road. So you need to know whether it's a root cause or not. And in the business plans, if you break it down, there's a lot of sub-plans within it. The business plan is the main one, but then you also have a marketing plan, a clear strategy of how you're going to go to market. And then a strategic plan on how you're going to achieve all your milestones that you need to go to. Operating plan, the internal operating of how you're going to systematize so that your employees can execute the plan that you want to implement. An annual work plan. Financial planning is a big one. A lot of businesses, particularly in the high tech, they have a great idea. They're building traction, but they don't have the financials to actually sustain them, and they dry up and have to close shop. Even though their business model was a good one, even though their services or product was in need, but if you don't have a sustainable financial model, they end up dying. And this happens a lot in the venture capital world. A financial proposal along those same lines. A feasibility study. Can your product or services be scaled up so that it can make you the income you need as an entrepreneur, but also the income for all your overhead, also the income for your employees, and scale up? So feasibility study is very important. And an individual employee plan. How are you going to grow, and how at each stage of growth, how many employees are you going to need? So diving more into the feasibility study, because it's one of the critical ones, is your SWOT analysis. SWOT stands for your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, and your threats. So those 4 categories, as an engineer, you can create an Excel spreadsheet and identify them. Your financial feasibility study, feasibility of sales volume. Bottom line, in any business, no matter how good the product or services it is, if you don't have the sales, you don't have a business, period. Okay? So and that comes into your marketing feasibility. Nowadays, there's a presentation coming with social media. Well, social media is taking off, particularly for businesses, small businesses, because it's a form of advertising, lead generation that is far more affordable and effective than any of the older traditional media advertisements sources that we used to have and are still around, but they're just not as effective for small businesses. I will say this, that nowadays we have a tremendous amount of resources that before you had to pay for or now are free. So if I talked to Matt and he's still in college, well, Matt can start several businesses tomorrow leveraging all the resources that are online that 5 years ago you had to pay for. Now he can get them all for free. Do you want a CRM system? Go for it. Soho. You want email marketing? Chipmonkey? And there's your email marketing system. So nowadays, because of the technology, it's so much easier to be on business and advertise than ever before. A feasibility of personnel as well. Now we're in a global economy. You can hire students from San Jose State, or you can hire students from India, Mexico, Costa Rica, Europe, anywhere. So that also gives us that flexibility of hiring great people, great skill sets, and leverage the dollar. Logistical feasibility environment. Logistical feasibility. If you're going to be delivering products, how are you going to get it from your warehouse to the customer? And how are you going to handle returns? All that, if it's a product in particular. Environmental feasibility. If you're putting up a restaurant, there's a lot of how you're going to dispose of the used oil, for example. That requires an environmental feasibility study as well. And the last one is social feasibility. Putting a nightclub might not be by a senior center might not be the best location, for example. So all these are feasibility studies that have to be taken under account when opening up a business, and in particular when it's a brick and mortar business is even more critical. And again, going back to technology nowadays, I encourage people to get started and start. They can start now online, far easier than before. You can, if you have pastries you want to sell, well, start marketing them locally. Start marketing to your friends. Start doing some word-of-mouth marketing, which is still the best ever, and that's not going to change anytime soon. All right, so contingency and continuity planning. This is once you have a business and are well established, you have to have a contingency plan and continuity planning. And what this means is, on contingencies, when you're, for example, have a system of marketing, and you're setting up limits. All right, for example, first is your budget. How much can you spend on marketing? And do you have a contingency plan to spend more or not? And how effective are you going to be in that marketing plan? So if you advertise in San Jose Mercury News, well, you expect to spend, say, $1,000, and then how many leads are you generating from it? Versus advertising on Facebook, and how many leads are you generating from that? So you have to have a contingency plan to, if that doesn't work, what are you going to try next? And business is not like engineering, that 1 + 1 is 2. Business is 1 + 1 can be 5, can be 10, can be 20. It's that kind of world. Marketing is not an exact science. Sales is not an exact science, unlike my engineering world. So businesses, that's the nature of business is very dynamic, very change. So you have to learn, unlike me as an engineer, feel comfortable with change, to feel comfortable with uncertainty, and trusting that you have the mental capacity and the ability to resolve any problem that does come about. Because that's one of the biggest issues business owners have across the table. They have that fear, especially technical people like myself and my background. Not knowing how you're going to get there is scary. And that's what keeps a lot of folks in the corporate sector as well, bottom line. So that's something that you have to learn, how to be more dynamic, be trusting. And I will tell you this, in one of my particular businesses, I had no idea how it was going to work out, but nonetheless, I moved forward and just looking at the next few steps that are ahead of me. I know where I was going to get. I had no idea how I was going to get there, but you start taking the next few steps. It's kind of like driving at night. You can only see 200 feet in front of you, but you know where you're going to go. So that's something that happened to me in particular. You start meeting people that you had no idea you were going to meet, or that you even needed to meet or wanted to meet. But then they help you, and they put you in the direction to meet another person that helps your business grow. And that is really why so many people say, go start networking and building your network of people. And when you do that, also be of service to that network that you're building up. It has to be a two-way street. And that's what's going to help you grow your business as well. One thing that I think is crucial and is not emphasized enough, though, it doesn't matter what business that you're in, if you want to grow it, you see this in the big companies now because they're following the lead from, I believe, from the smaller businesses. But if you really want to grow and be successful, one of the key elements is how fast, how effective can you build collaborative partnerships. So if you want to import stuff from out of China, well, how effective you can create partnerships to help you bring the imports and then distribute them, sell them, is going to be a key element. And one of the things that I've also seen on that same note, a lot of us, especially engineers, want to control 100% of our business and have 100% ownership and stay small. And we technical people don't trust other people to do it as well as I can, all right? But one of the key elements is to do this and make it grow is if you have a pie, you want to keep it and it's this big. But the mentality that you need to stretch yourself to is make a big old pie. And you get 10% of that big old pie, and it's a lot more than the small pie, okay? So you got to stretch in your business and make it big. Big, why? Not because you want a bunch of money, because if you're doing it just for the money, you're going to be struggling. But if you make a big pie, think of the impact that you're having with that big pie. Not only are you taking care of your needs and your family, but all the people that are going to be working in that business and and their families and the end clients and the service that they're getting or product that they're receiving from you and the difference your products or services are making in their lives. So that's the way I see it from my perspective. So keep in mind, make a big pie is the point. Sorry on that tangent. Getting back to my presentation here. Selling your business. When you want to sell a business, you have to have all the systems in place. That's what's of value. And think of the franchises. That's why they can charge $100,000 just for a franchise. Why? Because they have it cookie cutter. They have the systems in place. So the more you have that, the more value your business is going to have. So when you do go to sell it. Selling your stock. This particularly, if you're going to go public, it makes a lot of sense and it has a lot of value. In particular, if you want venture capital, that's going to be a C corporation if you're going down that path. A business failure and bankruptcy. Well, one of the things, I forgot where I see this, on the average successful business owner, they've had 9 failures or something like that. So that's one of the things I encourage Matt is, hey, get started, because what you're going to learn at a small scale is going to build up your credentials, your learnings to go to the next business and be more successful. And that's the true case in my case too. I tried different endeavors, and not all of them were successful. And bankruptcy, that's Diana more on details on bankruptcy. But basically, it's when you're insolvent, you owe more than you're able to bring in revenue. Bankruptcy is an option. Business continuity plan. The other one is, like I have in one of my particular business, I have 2 business partners. So what if I die? Then my wife gets my ownership, but my business partners didn't go into business with my wife. They went into business with me. So, forgot his name, but the gentleman that asked about insurance. I can have a life insurance policy on me, so when I do pass on, the life insurance kicks in and buys my wife out from the business. So my business partners don't have to deal with my wife. Not that she's difficult or anything, but it's not me, not the same. So a continuity plan. And another on continuity plan, sometimes I see a lot of small business owners build their business, is running, and their hopes are that their son or daughter are going to pick up the business and run. But their son and daughter have other plans to go to fashion school in New York and be the next designer and not run the business here locally. So that's another contingency plan that you need to take into account that may not happen. In more details about it, listing all necessary business functions, who performs them, and the equipment and the supplies that are required. Identify all the threats and the business functions they threaten. Compile detailed contact information. Identify and make copies of essential documents. Designate a secondary work site. Get employee input. Distribute the finished plan to employees, and revise the plan as necessary. That's something that's important in the overall. You guys can all create a great business plan. I can tell you from coaching hundreds of people that I never seen a business plan completed and then a year later, it's the same business. So the point is, it's going to evolve as you get started, especially the newer, if you're starting your first business, it's going to be less likely that it's going to look the way you expect it to look. And test the plan regularly. All right. One of the first things in terms of getting started and opening up your business is your fictitious business name filing. And the reason that this is needed is as a consultant, for example, if you are doing business as ABCD Consulting, well, if that's not your name, you need to register yourself as a fictitious business name owner. So what that means is that I'm Alvaro Sanchez, but I'm doing business as ABCD Consulting. That's when you're required to have a fictitious business name filing. And you go to the county's clerk office on 700 West Heading Street. So the purpose of, more detail on this, the purpose of registering the fictitious name of the county clerk is to ensure that consumers have the access to the true name and address of the owners of a business. Fictitious business name statements must be filed before you begin your business or within 40 days of your first transaction. A filed fictitious business name statement is effective for 5 years. Fictitious business name statements must be filed in the county in which the principal place of business is based. An applicant may have more than one FBN, and there may be more than one registrant per fictitious business name. Okay. Correct. And that's part of the, excuse me? Correct. And on this slide, there's name availability. So you can check and see if anybody else has your particular name that you're looking for before you file your fictitious business name. Yes. And is this a pointer? Yeah. So there's the website that you can go and check, ss.cal.ca.gov/business/business. And here's where I can talk about business structure. And I'll give you my understanding of business incorporating. And a lot of people, you see the Apple computers. Those are C corporations, and primarily is because they're going to look at getting venture capital and going public. So as a consultant, and then talk to your professional advisors, but most likely you're not going to be a C corporation. And the next level is what they call a sub-S corporation. That might be a possibility for you, and depending on the consultancy work that you do. I'm not sure what it is. Versus you might also consider an LLC, limited liability corporation. Why? Because they limit the liability by definition, number one. And they're a lot easier, simpler to manage than a C Corp and an S Corp in terms of paperwork. And the LLC, there's a franchise tax board tax or fee of $800 a year. Me particularly, in the 5 entities that I control or have an interest in, I have one LLC also taxed as a C Corp. So that functions as my C Corp. So talk to your CPA about it makes sense if you have an LLC, but have it structured so it's taxed as a C Corp. So and the advantage of that, what I did with that is that you get all the liability protection of the LLC, plus the simplicity of an LLC, but the tax benefits of a C Corp. Just to muddle it up a little bit for you. I also have an S Corp, and the rest of them are all LLCs in particular, because of the simplicity of managing them versus the S Corp and the C Corp in particular. What consulting area are you in?
Sales, counseling.
Okay.
What about
The sole proprietorship, if you're doing business with your name in it, that's it. And you're good to go. You don't even need the fictitious business name, is my understanding, because your name is in your business. And what that is when you're a sole proprietor is meaning that you're also accepting the full responsibility of your business. For example, if you have a restaurant and it has your name in it and it's a sole proprietor, or it can even be a fictitious business name, but it's not incorporated, and somebody gets sick from your food, for example, and sues you, then not only is all your assets of the restaurant liable, but also your personal assets. So that's the advantage of incorporating. So depending on the liability that you think you're going to be incurring, the people incorporate to separate that liability or their personal assets from their business assets. So now if you're an LLC and you're doing consultancy and they sue you for whatever reason and they win, then what is liable is all your assets within that LLC and not your personal assets. So that's one of the major advantages. The second one is the tax advantages to incorporating. So that's the main reason for incorporating versus a sole proprietorship. Another, like the gentleman said, another way of protecting yourself from, if you're going to be a sole proprietor, is through insurance. So that's, if you don't want to incorporate, insurance is another vehicle to protect yourself, maybe with, for example, an umbrella policy or other policy specifically for your line of work or line of business. So those two options are available. Can you raise your hand?
Best thing you do is talk to an agent, get a quotation based on your own business. Like a business, different. $500 for $1 million. $500 a year. Small business owner policy.
Okay. Do you have a question or a comment? Oh, that's a new one, the Benefits Corporation. Again, there's a presenter, I know Diana, she'll be able to give you more specifics. But there's now let me get back to that real quick. But in terms of insurance, just so everybody can hear, an insurance policy from a business can range anywhere from $800 a month to a year to like $10,000 a year. So it depends on the liability that business has and the sector that they're in, if I summarize that properly for you. So the best thing to do is talk to an insurance broker, agent, to get more specific details on your particular business endeavor that you want to jump into. Now, the lady in the back asked about the Benefits Corporation, and what that is a new business structure where it's kind of a hybrid between what is traditionally a nonprofit and S Corp. So they kind of blended the best of both worlds, is my understanding of it. So you have to have a benefit, just like a nonprofit does, for the community, and it gives you the tax advantages of a business and the liability protection as well. And depending on, again, on your endeavor, it also can help you secure more funding as well from philanthropists, corporations, foundations, et cetera, et cetera. So, and again, one of the main things for, incorporating does is separate your assets from the business assets. And give you tax advantages as well that you don't get as a sole proprietor. Benefits Corporation. All right. So online, the Secretary of State's office, there's a lot of resources available to us. Options in online searching for filings, document processing, information requests, certificates, copies, status, etc. Incorporating limited liabilities, limited partnerships. That's another way of incorporating is limited partnerships. So that's something else to look at. Limited partnerships is another entity structure. And that's not as prevalent anymore as it used to be. All right, form samples, all this is available. Statements of information are available, all at this website. Filing tips, tips for filing most corporations, liability, and limited partnerships, all that is online. Specifically for the city of Cupertino, they suggest checking in with the Department of Planning, Building and Code. I know there's some individuals here that you can get direct access now and get some guidance on zoning for your particular business. The planning staff, leverage them. And as you heard from the mayor and the chamber president, there's a lot of resources here to help you. So when starting a business, there's a lot of considerations and sometimes we are not aware of. And what regulations are out there that we need to know about. For example, if you want a restaurant, well, you need to get an alcoholic, and you want to sell alcoholic beverages, you need an alcohol permit. Check with the Better Business Bureaus, building, remodeling, all that, business tax license, business promotions, concealed weapons, daycare, economic development, equal employment development considerations, food and other public facilities, the IRS, handbills, solicitations, home occupation, and there's even more. If you're thinking of having a massage, therapy place, patents, a resale tax number, signs, you can't put big signs in a residential community, I'm sure. State licenses, toxic chemicals, such as used oil from restaurants, for example, weight and measures, workers' compensation insurance, zoning, planning, approvals. So there's a lot of considerations to have. And one of the things that I'm afraid when sometimes I give a presentation like this, there's a lot to be considered. And like, oh my God, how am I ever going to learn everything that I need to do to get started? And then a lot of people get discouraged. That's not the point here. And one of the things I would encourage you to do to lessen that, and again, just like if you're in corporate, you should always find a mentor. In business, you should find multiple mentors, not just one, to help you move up the corporate ladder in corporate America. But in business, you need to find mentors. That if I'm going to put a restaurant business, I will go and associate myself with find a mentor that already has established 1 or 2 locations. And it probably not, if I'm going to set up in Cupertino, I will look for my mentor in Mountain View. And if they have the same kind of business that I want, go outside of that city. So you're not competing directly. But imagine what you could learn from somebody that has already done what you want to do. That's one of the key elements. Partnerships and finding a mentor are one of the 2 things that you've got to do to be successful in business. Otherwise, you're going to struggle more than you need to. Yes?
Internet sales, is that a consideration?
Yes, internet sales?
Yeah.
Absolutely. There's not a lot of regulation still in internet sales. For example, I know California is trying to tax internet sales, and they got beat down for trying to do so. But that is something that you need to address if you're shipping overseas, for example, or what can you not ship by mail, or UPS or FedEx, etc. So. All right. So in closing, who's my timekeeper? How much time do I got? All right. I got 10 minutes to answer any other questions. And I think any other more clarity on the entity, I gave you the general gist of it. Okay. Startup capital. Let's talk about that. If there's 2 lines or 2 worlds. One of them is a small business world, and the other one is going to be the venture capital backed world. Getting capital for both of them are very different. So the venture capital is already kind of well defined, and it's more for techie. But none of my businesses are venture capital backed. But I have raised, $1 million. So how do I do it in real estate in particular? In my case, you have to have a compelling business that has been proven, and in my business, real estate specifically, it's a model that a lot of people are comfortable with. You either rent or you own a property. So you know the concept of renting and the value of real estate one way or another. So what I did is put the business model of how we're going to make money and how can we not only make a return for ourselves, but also for our investors that invest with us. And we laid it out as engineers, very successful, and it's been proven, and we proved it. So now, once we did that, we went and solicited money from our friends and family that we already know. That's the first tier. The second is banks won't touch us right now because we don't have 2 years history in this particular business model with this particular partnership. After 2 years is when you can go after more of the traditional bank loan. And you have 2 years of tax records. That's when they will share with you, I'll give you money. But before 2 years, they won't. So if you want to start a business, what are the other options? There's also small business administration that provides financing for startups, non-traditional venture capital. There's also organizations like the Opportunity Fund that can go up to, I believe, $100,000, from $5,000 to $100,000. Nowadays, another way, if you have a compelling business model, that crowdfunding is another way to go about it. Okay, so look up crowdfunding. There's several websites about crowdfunding that can help you with that startup capital. And one of the things that in particular for real estate, what we help people educate them is if they were in corporate, they can roll over their 401k plans into a self-directed custodian, like the Pensko of the world. And then from there, they have the flexibility to direct their retirement funds into direct participation investments, such as real estate. So they can invest in notes. They can buy properties directly into their IRA. So we educated people on how to do that. And if they chose to invest with us, they did. But it's look at your sphere of influence and get mentors. Again, get mentors that have done what you've already done, what you want to do, and have them guide you. I'm an advisor for SBDC business, but there are also SCORE that have a lot of people that have even more experience in raising capital, running companies, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of resources for you to get capital, but a lot of them are private. Business insurance, I think we did cover that a little bit. Nowadays, for every aspect, you can insure. I know people, movie stars insure their legs. So you can buy insurance just about for anything. So there's a lot. I think talking to a qualified broker would give you a breadth of what insurance you need and when you need it. And business plans, we did talk about that. As you can see, there's a lot of things to consider. And within the business plan, there's a feasibility plan, there's marketing plan, the sales plan, all that. In and of itself can be a plan and a lot to consider. Again, getting the mentor, getting the business coach, business advisors are critical. And one of the things that I also noticed is there's a lot of smart people, and I'm sure there's a lot of smart people here. And for me as an engineer, I was smart too. And then I realized that when I went to business, I was not that smart. So one of the things that we have, smart people have a problem with is sometimes asking for help. So smart people ask for help. That also saves you a lot of time, money, and mistakes. So business is going to be something that kind of, once you're committed and you're open to it growing organically or as it's going to grow, you need to let it grow, but guided growth. Put your intent into it, but you're going to be more like a parent, nurturing a child versus trying to dictate what the child should do at every second, every moment, and go be a doctor or else. Okay? Any other questions that you guys may have on any topic? Yes? Do you know if they are available, are going to be made available online?
I'm sure we can do that. If you're willing to provide them to us, we'd be grateful to post them online. We'll just make sure we follow up with folks afterwards. Yeah, so you know where we'll host them.
Okay, great. Any other questions? All right. I got 5 minutes? All right. So let me just talk about some other stuff that's not pertinent to the presentation and just experiencing that I've had. Oh, I'm also going to pass this around. It's a profile intake form for the SBDC program, as I'm a business advisor for them. Please fill it out and turn it in and ask you any questions you have. And if you want the PowerPoint presentation, indicate it here. And we'll turn it into and put your email so we can get it to you. Okay? Thank you. All right. So let me ask this question because I know it's one of the critical ones. What is the fears that you guys have about starting or growing your business? What mistakes are you afraid of making? Yes?
Twofold. I'm a landscape designer, and I'm afraid, actually, let me back up. I've now realized that if I'm not working, I'm not making any money. So I have to make some changes. In regards to that, I'm worried that I'm now going to be managing a business and no longer doing landscape design.
Great question. All right. One of the things that are important is in business. My definition of a business is a business is a job until you can actually systematize it and have the business run without you. So I want you to have this business. I want you to grow it to the level where you can go to Hawaii for 3 months and you still produce the same amount of income as when you were here. So that's a mind shift of, wait a minute, how in the world am I going to do that? And what am I going to have to put in place? What people am I going to have to put in place? How am I going to be able to market, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You see? And a business is a job until it can run without you, okay? So all of my businesses, they can be residual income without me being involved. So my goal is to have 10 businesses and not run any of them. Okay, so I'm kind of stretching your mindset, but you see my point? Yes, make a big pie. I like that. Okay, I don't want you to be working and be stuck in working in a job. I want you to have the flexibility to go and enjoy the fruit of your labor, and spend 3 months in Hawaii in the winter. Okay, does that make sense? Another thing on that point is, I had a good point. Oh, yes. Let's say you do get to that point where your business is producing such that you do have the capital to go and spend 3 months in Hawaii in your winter home. Start also considering how can you take excess capital and make other investments that can generate income for you that are not related to your business. For example, real estate is one of them. So start looking at how can you make money, generate passive income through buying a fourplex, for example. So it's another source of income that's not dependent of you. You can do a wonderful job landscaping it and making it look good, and yet over time it's going to build equity for you, it's going to build cash flow for you, and you buy a second one and take all the proceeds from the second, all the excess cash flow, and use it to accelerate the down payment, the principal reduction on the first one. So instead of paying 30 years, paying it off in 30 years, you pay it off in 15 or 10. You see what I mean? So there's a lot of wealth strategies beyond just your business. But once you get it successful, look at other ways of starting another business, doing consulting, in your case, you can be a landscape consultant for other landscape businesses that are not in your area. You're in California. You don't do no landscaping in Arizona, but you can consult in Arizona, you can consult other places, Southern California. And you can start another business as a consultant. Does that make sense? And charge big bucks for that. All right? Yes?
Very quick question. Just a very quick question to the question you raised. What is the anxiety or fear of starting a business? I think I speak collectively, possibly. It's not so much lack of failure, but generating the constant cash flow to meet your obligations with a plan, as you've presented. You talk about and being systematic, these can be addressed. But just generally, regular income, not so much certainly to have a good lifestyle, but I think that's the long-term goal.
Absolutely.
The general question is just meeting your obligations. I speak for myself, maybe I speak collectively for others as well. And certainly the business model that you illustrate, that's a great business model. With plan, it takes time to get the building capital, to get loans, but that's a great business model where you create residual income. I've probably paraphrased what you've said already,
okay.
But that's just...
Yes. One of the things that you pointed out is one of the best times to start a business is when you already have a job, actually. And I had a job as an engineering job, and I started transitioning out of engineering. So you have the income source right now, but start your business planning, start implementing your product or services, and then to win to the point where you can know. In any business that you start, I like to see that you prove the concept before you quit your job. Keep your job, make sure that you've proved the concept of your business, that you know that there's a need for it. You can have a great idea, but if nobody's going to pay for it, it doesn't matter. Don't quit your job. So I want you to keep your job until you've proven your business model, the service or product, there is a market, they're willing to pay what you need them to pay, that there is a demand for it, and then put your marketing and sales plan in place and get that going and see that your marketing and sales is producing, and at that time start looking at what point can you quit your job. That's one way of looking at it. The second way is looking at, can you produce additional sources of passive income, like, for example, real estate, that you can provide for your minimum liabilities, and then allow you to focus on your business. So that's another way of looking at it, another potential way of doing it. So, okay. Well, my time has come to an end, so I appreciate your attention, and congratulations on looking at initiating or growing your business. If you have any further questions, I'm going to put up my name and email and phone number here and put it out to the side. So if you have any other questions, please come see me personally. Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the conference.